Well, this is really a heartbreaking story and has been for decades now, especially for those people who are raised in the church. The continuing drip, drip, drip of these hard stories has been very painful. But the pain is important to go through because you can't be honest without telling the truth about the past. And the past had some dark stages, and there was a lot of people who got away with things. The church's story is that they thought that they could rehabilitate and redeem the souls of the offending priests, which is a noble goal, but today the law doesn't allow for that so much as it might have 100 years ago. The revealing of these names now is cathartic for the church. It's probably cathartic for some of the victims, maybe all victims, but it's not going to result in criminal prosecutions. These are old cases. They are beyond the statute of limitations. There is no chance that these people will be prosecuted. This behavior simply took place too long ago. The law and the time have combined to create an environment where it's just impossible to arrest and charge somebody for it. It's especially difficult to accept the fact that these people have gotten away with it when you look at the top 2 or 3 offenders who committed maybe half the acts that are described. Here are people, I guess one has passed away, but a couple of others have fugitated, as we say, to Mexico, and efforts have been made to bring them back, but we don't know whether they're alive or dead. It's heartbreaking to know that the victims will never have their day in court. They'll never have really the closure of seeing somebody being punished. It's just so sad that we all know that bad guys get away with this stuff. It's just especially sad when it happens in the church. We can only hope that this current revelation, which I think is happening across the country, just opening the books to try to let sunlight bleach out this sin, let's just hope that it really does mean we've gotten to the root of it and it's over. But it could never happen like this again. Not today. Not with today's connectivity, not with today's awareness. Everybody's awake, paying attention, but they sure got away with it before, and that's sad. So the idea of the statute of limitations is it's not fair to prosecute a guy 10 years after an event, because how are you going to prove your alibi? How are you going to remember where you were, and so forth? So the law sets up certain periods of time that if they elapse without you fugitating, the government can't come after you. But there are exceptions: murder, kidnapping, and rape, essentially. Those 3 crimes, there is no longer a statute of limitations in the state of California. Unfortunately, for the rape cases, that statute didn't become a forever statute until 2017. So for any statutes of limitations that began running in the past, if they have expired before 2017, you can't go back and bring them back to life. They're dead. Moving forward, rape is there is no statute of limitations on rape. So if we were fast forwarding and this was 30 or 40 years from now and this kind of information came out, the law has been changed to allow prosecutions. But for now, these cases are essentially dead. Delayed complaining about child sexual abuse is common. Children don't have the mental capacity to figure out what just happened, what role did they play in it, what will happen if they actually reveal it to somebody, who knows what they've been threatened with, expressly or implicitly. And kids also feel a great deal of shame and guilt about it, even though we all know it's not their fault. To the extent that they may have experienced anything besides pain at the moment, they turn that into something that they feel guilty about forever. So to ask a 10 or 12-year-old child to sort of explain why they couldn't come forward at the time, it's so cruel. And it's so painful for those kids because they have to live with it for years, reliving it, reevaluating the decision to keep quiet about it, and then with every passing day, the pain of that decision and the doubt that goes along with that decision just adds up. So I've said it before, and I really believe it. When you molest a child, you're really acting like a vampire. because you are creating pain not only in that child, but potentially in future generations of children. And it's not just an incident, not like a robbery or a theft. You're really affecting a life and really changing the arc of that person's life. And you should be caught, you should be punished, and you should be paid and made to pay for it. So it's just sad when they get away with it. You know, the people who hang on to the anger and the bitterness for a lifetime, hoping to see the person on death row get executed or hoping to see the person who wronged them punished, carry this really dark bitterness inside of them, and it's not healthy. Honestly, if you talk to psychiatrists, you talk to clergymen, they all say let it go. Let it go and move on. Some might say pray, which in this case is a bit ironic.